Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. We are definitely due a catch-up. As you can see, I'm in a completely different location because we finally moved to York. We made the move from London to Yorkshire and we're loving it so far. But we have a lot to chat about, so please pause this video, go and make yourself a cup of tea. I have some Betty's tea here because of course how can I talk about moving to Yorkshire without having something from Betty's? So pause the video, grab a tea, a hot drink of your choice and let's have a bit of a chat. I cannot tell you the relief I feel sitting down and finally filming this video to talk to you and share little bits about our move and just the first kind of few weeks of York, because it's been a real journey. Obviously I shared snippets of our move journey with packing up my books, but it's actually been like 2 years that this process has taken us, and 8 months from I think getting an offer on our flat, putting an offer on this little house and actually moving in. But we have now been in the house a month and we're loving it. The house is an 1890s kind of Victorian terrace, kind of worker terrace. It needs a lot of TLC. It's been really neglected, and already now just like ventilating and heating it, not only does it like smell better, but it also just looks better, and it just needs a bit of love and care. And yeah, I'm already feeling a lot. At the beginning, I'm not going to lie, it was horrific. The whole journey has been pretty terrible, and watching back some of my videos I can see the stress in my eyes. I'm slightly dying inside towards the last lot of videos because it was such a stressful process. But now we are here and in York, I just feel so happy with the decision that we made. For those of you who don't know, who might have just happened to stumble across this video, hello, my name is Claire, I work in publishing, and we've just made the move from London after living there for 7 years, where my partner's from, to York where we met at university. So it's always been one of our favourite places in the world and we visited really regularly. And I think like a lot of people over COVID and just kind of reevaluating when both of our jobs became fully remote, we realised where we wanted to be, and that was York. And so now we're back. It truly has been a journey, and it was actually kind of terrible at every stage. We had a kind of a moving process, selling, buying process, where at every stage something went wrong. Things that you couldn't even imagine went wrong, or even like our solicitors and people involved in the legal teams. We were having to go to like the head of different legal teams. It just got very serious a lot of the time, and even I kept having these moments where like I'd film a packing video thinking we're all in the clear now, and then the next day it would almost fall through, and we had it almost fall through many times. But now we're here, Ben and I are just kind of like taking a big collective sigh of kind of relief and just letting our tension go. And there's a lot to do in the house, so I don't feel like the tension's not quite gone yet, just because there needs to be quite a lot of extensive like damp work, and there's a lot more issues that we weren't aware of, as there is I think with old houses a lot of the time, that are kind of structural issues a little bit more. So it's going to be a process, but we've already, I think, as soon as we had our first walk into the centre, and because we can just walk so quickly to everywhere in York, it just made it worth it. So every day when things maybe have gotten a bit much, we've just gone on a walk, got onto the city walls and just kind of gone, we live in York now. Like how amazing is that? I also realised I should mention the elephant in the room, which is my new filming setup. This is actually my office. I have an office now with my own kind of library, and I have a chair and a light, so I have my own little reading nook, and we also have our kitchen table in here, our dining room table, where Ben will build his Warhammer and also will eat. But we're people who eat on the sofa while watching TV. We're kind of a TV dinner kind of family, but we will use it, but it is mainly going to be a hobby room and my office. And I really like this setup. I think it looks really good. We've just got Billy bookcases for now, because I would love, because we have a house with alcoves, I would love to have proper built-in like bookcases. But at the moment we have a lot of bigger issues that we need to deal with the house before we can do that. And so we've gone for a simple Billy bookcase because they just have so much capacity, and I really like it. I think they actually look really beautiful, but just don't look too closely at the books, because one, they are not advertised and they are in kind of colour, rainbow, colour coordinated situation at the moment, but they've been colour coordinated by a feeling rather than accuracy, so don't look too close at them. But I think they just bring such, I mean, we've now got a bookcase in our living room, and having books in a room, I think if you're a bookish person, just makes the room light up and bring so much colour and life without doing very little. So even though the rest of the house looks like it's slightly falling apart and is full of boxes, the rooms that have books in, they feel like home. At the moment in this room, I have my bookshelves, I've got my desk just behind you, and a window, and also a cat tree and Sybil, and our little table. And once it is all slightly more tidy, I'll definitely show you a little bit so you can visualise where I'm living. But yeah, it's starting to come together very slowly. I actually didn't have a plan about what I was going to say or discuss when I sat down to film this video. Just kind of wanted to break the ice and say hello and catch you up, because so many of you have been lovely in this process of moving. And even though I'd actually already moved secretly when I put up, I think, my last video, the messages I've had from everybody has been really nice. And moving is always super stressful, and our process was horrific at every point, that it was just nice to have a bit of reassurance from lots of you and lovely messages. So really, I'm very thankful for that. I feel like I've given a good overview of like how we got here. But what I thought I would do is just highlight some of like the special things that have happened or have made me happy since we've moved, that have been like unexpected and are just very basic and mundane, things that you don't think about if you have them. But I now they mean so much to me having moved. So like one of the first things would be the sound of rain, which may seem a little bit strange, but I like love, one of my favourite sounds is the sound of rain on like a caravan. You can tell a lot about my childhood, like on a van. And I really love the sound of rain going against the window. But because of our flat in London, the way the windows were, the direction of the wind, just I think how the building was, we never ever had rain on our windows. We'd only ever get rain on our windows if we were in like a massive storm. It was just so rare. And when it rains here, it goes on the windows, which sounds so silly, but the sound of it. And when like I have a window open, which I know is not good with our damp issue, but like if it's raining and you go around shutting the windows, I can hear the drips on the windows, and that for me is just like music to my ears. It's so beautiful. The next one is probably even more romanticised, which is stars. So we were walking home back to our house and I just looked up and I could see like millions of stars in the sky. And I'd realised I hadn't seen stars in the sky for like 7 years. Because of the air pollution in London, I just never seen them. Or, I mean, I was shocked when I saw them. So it really genuinely probably has been that many years. And it just felt really beautiful. The third one is our cat's sunbathing. So because of our flat in London, the way we were, like the direction with the sun, they never had any like direct sunlight coming into the flat, and so the cats have never sunbathed before. And here we have like really beautiful like patches of just sunbeams coming in for them, and now you'll just find them like all like both will be like lined up in the direction of this like one kind of big sunbeam that comes in, and they're like hot with the sun on them. And it's all those things that I just never imagined would give me such like daily joy. But seeing a cat sunbathe is like all is right with the world, I think. The last like house-related one would be birds singing, like bird song, because we're in a tall flat. I loved watching pigeons. The cats loved watching pigeons in our flat. But apart from the pigeons, there were no birds. There was no kind of bird song, and just because of the area and the location, we were on a really busy high street in London. So right now as I'm filming this video, I can hear birds singing. And I wake up to birdsong, and I just really love that. And it's all those little things that you just don't think about until you experience them again. Then you realise you haven't actually heard that. Obviously when you're out and about in London you hear it, but just now if I just go quiet, I can just hear the birds sing outside. The last one is a York specific one, and that is the smell of chocolate. So if you've ever been to York, you'll know that the city at certain times, things like when the wind blows from the right or something, the whole city smells like chocolate. And it definitely smells more in certain locations, but the smell is in the centre of the city. You can be walking around and it will smell of chocolate from the Nestle factory. And York was known as like the chocolate city because of all of the different confectioners who were here, especially in kind of the 19th century. It's also a smell that over time you do just get used to. Like whenever we've come back, it's kind of, we've remembered it, but when we were living here, I just had completely forgotten that it was a thing. And after spending every day here for like a month and smelling it so often, I will get used to it one day, and then when visitors come, people always point it out, but it will just become a normal thing. So I'm just acknowledging that I can smell it at the moment, so I can look back and go, oh yeah, it does smell like chocolate, when my kind of senses have become so used to it. I've just remembered one more house thing, which is a funny thing, is the fact that we have stairs. I've been so excited to give the cat stairs, I cannot tell you. And Sybil especially has loved the stairs, and because it's like you can literally hear when people are upstairs and you can kind of hear footsteps. I've been on like really important work calls, and upstairs you can just hear like the cats running across the stairs really loudly, and they're having the best time. And I did have quite a few questions about how the cats were settling in, and it has been a lot for them. I think the move, the journey in the car was a lot, and Freya, I think, spent a while in a box that she found, and we just let her have this box until she settled in. Sybil is a natural explorer. She always wants to be involved. She's super curious, and because Sybil was so confident, Freya really grew in confidence. We've had a lot of people coming over, which is something that Sybil was quite afraid of in our flat, but she's been really great with it. And it now really does, I think, they're so much more at home. I think because there is still a lot of boxes, there's still stuff that needs to be built and put away and all of that. So I think it will take them a little bit of time, just in the way that it's taken us quite a lot of time, but at the moment they're really enjoying it, and yeah, they have a sunspot, so they're happy. I think the best thing of this move so far has just been York. The fact that like we just walk in, just see the Minster in like no time. And we've done so many of our favourite things. We've gone to Milk Bar Chocolatiers and had so many chocolate shots. It's extreme at this point as to how many chocolate shots I've had so far. We've had, gone to favourite ice cream places and our favourite cafes, and we've walked the walls and did all of our like favourite things that we used to just do all the time when we lived here. And I definitely have had a moment which I have never really felt like home was like permanent. I've always had this thing where I always felt like homes were temporary, which is probably a childhood thing which can be explored in therapy. But when we were walking around, I had this moment that I was like, we don't have to leave. Like, if we don't want to, we don't have to leave. And it's been an interesting feeling, because even though I know we'll probably leave this house one day and we'll get another house, we don't have to leave York if we don't want to. When we were in London, even though Ben is from London, it always felt slightly temporary, just because we knew that we wouldn't always be able to afford to live in London, which is obviously why we ended up moving. And there is a pigeon in my chimney. It's obviously sitting at the top of the chimney because we've got an open fireplace. I really hope it doesn't come down. And when we were in York as students, it also felt, obviously it had a time limit of when we were at university, and then coming back to York as being on holiday, it's interesting to kind of get into the feeling of like, we live here now, we can do this every day, we can see the Minster every day. Rather than, wanting to pack stuff in because we're on holiday. So it's going to be interesting to see how we kind of get used to living in the city again. Can you hear the pigeon? We took quite a bit of annual leave when we first moved, which we needed because it needed such a deep clean. But I think it'll be interesting to see what it's like working and living in York, and then being able to walk into the centre really easily on our lunch breaks or after work. I'm trying to think of all the things that we've done in York since we've moved to share with you, but so much of them have just been walking and just seeing York and seeing friends and just being in the city again, which has been lovely. Obviously there's been a lot of unpacking. Someone did ask if I would film me unpacking my books, but because we just needed them to go away, I didn't film them. But I think what I will do one day in the near future is I think I might paint these book shelves. I'm thinking maybe like a green colour, I'm not sure, because this room I want to be like pink. I think I want it to be like a dusky pink, and so green would work really nicely with that. So I will at some point probably film a video of me painting my bookshelves, but there's a lot of other things to do in the meantime. But I am excited to paint because I do really want the house to be colourful. For instance, I really want this room to be shades of pink, and our hallway to be green, and our living room to be yellow. Obviously there's a lot of work to be done before we can actually paint because of just repairing work. But I'm really excited for that because we never painted our flat in London, even though we could. I don't know why we didn't. I feel like because it was shared ownership, we felt like we couldn't. And then we read the paperwork when we were leaving, and it was like, no, we totally could have made it not just white and grey, because that's not really my personality. The house itself was built in the 1890s, so we're kind of going to lean into the arts and crafts style, I think, but there are no original features in this house at all. Apart from like the external brickwork, there is nothing left. We think actually part of the fireplace might be original because it looks like it is. There's open fireplace in here, but all of our fireplaces have a brick surround which aren't original, and they're very like 70s, 80s, and I hate them. But I'm now starting to like them, which I might be a symbol of just like Stockholm syndrome of seeing them every day. But I've decided to slightly lean into the kitsch, which does kind of suit the house at the moment as it is. But it is going to be interesting to see what it's like on its journey with us as its owners, because yeah, it's just not been well looked after before. So I think it will look very different in like a few years' time. Even actually in a few months' time, when we have all our stuff unpacked and some of the treatment work started, I think it will look very different, and I'm excited about that. One thing I did do this house, which I'll definitely talk about in a different video, because this video has just been slightly all over the place, just a bit of a chatty catch-up, but I did do a lot of research on the actual house, looking at censuses, because the great thing is when you're looking at history of a house, censuses are great for that, because you can have a history of who's lived in a house and then find a family tree. I often find it harder to do any kind of research, like family history research, with just names. I find if you have a location, it's so much easier to find people and to create a map. And so I know exactly who were the first owners of this house, and they stayed here for like 60 years. And so I know who lived here, I know who died here, I know some tragic stories, I know where they worked, and you know, I literally researched the whole street, because then once I knew my family, I wanted to know who would be their friends. And I have a vision of trying to go and find their graves in York. I'd quite like to do that. But I know my little family and my little Victorian ghost child who died here, her name is Florence, known as Trixie. So yeah, I feel like I in a really weird way, I feel like I owe it to that family who first bought the house and probably loved it and lived here for such a long time. And I realised I've not even told you anything about the house. It's a 2-bed house, but it has like a front room where I'm currently in, living room, kitchen, and yeah, the spare room upstairs. And so that's one thing we really wanted when we were looking at houses. We really wanted to have a spare front room, but we also didn't want it to be open plan, because we had an open plan flat before, and with our cats, we need as many doors as possible. The ability to shut out the cats when we're making their food in the kitchen is beautiful. But we also just wanted a little bit of separation for when I was working, because I always worked in the living room. So the ability for me to shut the door and have a workspace and then leave work, hopefully in one room, and not take it into the living room or the bedroom. I think that's going to be really lovely. But yeah, there was 11 of them, when it was often like the father and the wife, husband and wife, sorry, and their children, and sometimes then the wives of their children or husbands of their children and grandchildren. So there are a lot of them in here, and it is a working class terrace, and it really, looking at the like the jobs that the family were having and the other people in the street, it really is a beautiful way at looking at the history of York and the types of jobs, you know, working at the Roundtrees factory, working on the railway. It's such a history of York, and I love social history, and so I spent months researching my little family. One thing I did love about my little family was that they're from London, or the head of the house was from London. I think maybe one or two of the children were born there, I can't remember, but he was from London and his wife was Canadian, and it just, yeah, it shows the history of the UK in such a brilliant way, and this kind of tapestry of social history, and that's something I'm really passionate about, so I might share that with you. But yes, we're settling in, and I've got lots I want to talk to you about. I've got a whole haul of things that I bought in York that I'll share with you in another video, and I'm hoping to get back into reading, because I have stopped a little bit while I've been unpacking boxes. But I hope you like my new setup, and I'm really excited to share York and Yorkshire with you and just make more videos now we're a little bit more settled. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm going to leave my Ko-fi account so you can tip my content or tip my videos if you want to help us save up for the damp-proof course that the house needs. If you want to help our damp problem, please feel free to tip my content. But yeah, thank you for watching, and if you're at the end of the video with me now, I feel like you have to leave a chocolate emoji today, because York smells so strongly of chocolate. right now, which is lovely. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another video, hopefully about books next time. But yeah, thank you.